Okay, ready for this one? Changes in plans happen all the time, right? Let's see, are we recording? We are recording. All right, so changes in plans happen all the time. Sorry about that. I'm going to be buying a new camera. To be quite honest with you, I don't have any money right now. And I don't generally like to talk finances with anybody, but right now I don't have any money. I'm owed well over $100,000 at this point, and that doesn't make me very happy, but it is what it is. But so here's what I'm going to do. In my previous video, I talked about, here, let's go over here. Hopefully this thing is working and steady enough. In my previous video, I talked about cutting this off, right, which I'm still going to do. I'm going to cut that off of this arm. I've taken all of the firming wheels off, and I have the V8 closing wheels or firming wheels there from Nita Mag. And I was going to just take this bushing here. See that? I was going to put that bushing on there, not on there, but I was going to drill a hole through the stub and then use the bolt and put this bushing in there, and I was going to drill out each one of these row units. Okay, well, that kind of got complicated because this is not 1 inch. This is a 1 1/64 inch diameter bushing. Now, 1 1/64 is what the hole is on that. So I was lucky enough to find a 1 1/64 drill bit. Unfortunately, it's a China bit, and you can see that chunk out of there. It hit that cast iron and jammed, and when I reversed it, it broke the bit. Well, it's a cheap bit, so it wasn't terrible. It was a $21 bit. So then I got to thinking last night while I was just trying to sleep. I got a lot on my mind, and I will be expressing that on the other channel. But and yes, I know there's somebody that's frothing at the bit right now, waiting to have me put into jail, but that's not what's going to happen because I'm not going to talk about that particular person. So anyway, this is actually for the upper piece. This is for the arm, and it doesn't work there because this is different. I've got the regular repair. I'll be working on that too. But here's what I got. I got a bushing that'll go in there, right? Goes up to that point. It fits all the way to the step. Okay, no big deal, right? Yay, that'll work. We'll fit it to the step, and then what? Hold on a second. You're going to get jostled around while I do this. I'm going to make up a couple of these. So what I'm going to do, instead of boring a hole through each one of these with a drill that doesn't work, and let me come over here, and then I'll turn the camera around and I'll show you what I'm going to do there. So instead of doing that, oh my God, I have no place to put this thing. Oh, maybe I do. So instead of doing that operation, which the drill bit or the reamer that I would have to purchase is like $750. And it's not really meant for what I'm doing. It is actually a tapered reamer. What I need is a line reamer, one that has straight or spiral flutes that I can just go. I'd rather have the straight flutes over the spiral flutes because I'm afraid the spiral flutes would grab in and then beep and break the $750 reamer. So I'm like, you know, that's not even the solution to this thing. So what do? Well, I've got this bushing, and it's 1 1/64 here. That fits, but it's 3/4 of an inch to go all the way through. So I'm going to take this out to my lathe, and I'm going to take 1/8 of an inch off of this side, which will give me a 1/4 of an inch. Which will be so close. We're going to try it at a 1/4 of an inch, and if I have to take a 1/128 of an inch off to finish it up, then that's what I'll do. So I'm going to take you along, and you guys can watch as I struggle to cut a very hard bushing down 1/4 of an inch or 1/8 of an inch on either side. So it's going to be kind of thin on the one side here, but I don't think that's going to matter too much. I think it's going to work out just fine, because really all it has to do is have a bolt that pinches through to hold it in place and keep it from doing this wonky woggling thing. And I think I'm going to succeed. If I don't, well, it wouldn't be the first time I failed at something, and it probably won't be the last time I fail at something. But that thing is only 1/8 of an inch thick anyway, so that doesn't make any sense. 1 inch, a little bit more than that. It's going to be pretty thin. 3/4 of an inch. Well, what the hell size is that? Is that 5/8? That whole size is not 1/2 inch, it's 5/8. So it's not going to leave me much. It's really not going to leave me much. So let's give it a shot. Worst thing I lose is a bushing, right? And I can buy more of those. Okay, so that's what I've had to make. Let's see, maybe that way you can see it a little better. Here's the original. I have not screwed any of them up yet. I will be having to cut them down a little bit, you know, in length, because these bushings are pretty long. Each one of these packages here, let me go ahead and put you up on the thing here. Hopefully you can see me. Each one of these packages has a few bushings and stuff, but it's not enough. I'm pretty sure, I mean, there's something. What the heck is that about? I think that one goes on here, like so. No, it goes like, this goes on like this. All right. I don't know how this works. I'd have to really kind of, I know that it has to pinch on there like that, and then there's these pieces here. So I would think that it would be like that, something like that. And then you've got this guy here that goes on the other side of it somehow, like so, something like that. I have no idea how it goes, but that's how it's gonna work for me. I know how it goes. I'm retarded. Hold on a second here. So of course it looks like a shell casing. It is not. It is a bushing that goes into the grain drill, so that people think that I'm manufacturing things that I'm not manufacturing. I'm not manufacturing anything. So yeah, I have to drill a hole in that, and that gets pinched onto this side here like so. This bolt goes through that. Let's just use the other side for shits and giggles. So we've got this guy here, right? Then we've got this guy here. Then we've got these guys here. And you use these to make those work. Then you've got this guy that goes on the back side of that thing. Right? No, that won't work either. Yeah, this then goes on the back side of that. Either way, probably won't even need that, just use that. And that'll pinch into that, which will hold it all together so that it pivots up and down, and it is actually just pinched on to that bushing. So that's how I got to do this. Now I've done two. It has taken probably a hell of a lot longer than it should, because I'll show you my lathe here. My lathe is very old, not even close to being, it's 100 years old or more. So yeah, when you've got a piece of equipment that's that old, you just got to kind of finesse it, finagle it, do whatever. You're probably not even able to see my head. So yeah, so that's the deal, is when you get something that is as old as what I'm working with, you're just going to have to deal with it You know? I like Louis Bilborough's, what he said. He's like, man, I ain't got the patience for that crap. Well, it takes patience. I'll tell you that right now. If you think you're going to play around with these things and it's, you know, and you're just going to play around with these things and it's going to go as fast as you want it to, when things get over 100 years old, and I'm not kidding you, that pulley there is wood. This one, it's wood. The driven pulley is wood. I put these belts on here because they were leather. Believe it or not, they were leather. And everything is like these dripping oil drip things, and yeah. So anyway, with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and set this chucker up here. So I'll put you guys here, and you can watch me put it together. I need to mark this at about 1 1/4 inches. Not at about 1 1/4 inches, at 1 1/4 inches. Huh, I broke my fucking tooth. So 1 1/4 inches. That's sweet, like it's got something on it that it shouldn't have on it. So I've marked that at 1 1/4 inches. That's where I need to go to with this thing. And like I said, my lathe is ancient. And I mean ancient. It is not a new lathe at all. So before I do that, I'm going to line that out. And the other thing with this is it is very, very hard. These bushings are hard surfaced. They've got a hard surfacing. Oh, that's the end of that. So here we go. They got a hard surface to them. So they're case hardened is what I'm trying to say. So when they're case hardened like that, okay. Nope, didn't want to do that. We'll pull that back out again. So when they're case hardened, and I have to bust through that case hardened part. Now this makes no difference whether I'm turning this one side or all 3 sides. I just do it because it's a 3-jaw chuck, not a 4. A 4-jaw chuck is a little different to set up. You have to have a knack for that, which I can do. I just don't have the knack for it too well. And I think I've got a chip in my bit. Well, no, we don't. Or do we? I might have to go sharpen this bit up. So anyways, that's really how this goes. What I'll do before I get started is actually put a little bit of oil down in there so that everything's lubricated on my shafts, because this thing, like I said, is like 100 years old. And what I'll do is I'm going to make the first run. And after that, I'm just pretty much going to, what you do is you come in contact with it, and boom, start cutting. And that'll take that hardening off, hopefully. It isn't going to look like I'm doing much, but I am. Then I wind it out 5 thousandths, and then wind it back in 10 thousandths. And when I'm done with that, you can see that it's just not even doing anything. It just looks like it's polishing it. That case hardening is very tough to get through. Out 5 thousandths, pull it out, go 10 thousandths. I'm putting a little bit of oil on there just to keep that bit cool. And I'm going to bring it around to the front on the next pass, because and really all it's doing is chipping that stuff off of there. Doesn't look like I'm cutting it all, but once I get through that case hardening, then it'll go a little bit differently. And I don't want to try to put too much through it, because it will break my bit. And to be quite honest with you, I've only got one. I looked all over hell for the others. Apparently, I broke those the last time I was in here when I was working on the corn planter. And then everybody says, you need a lathe, and you need a milling machine, and you need this, and you need that. Well, you can send money to me through PayPal at OneOnlyFarmer, ONELYFARMER, and if you send me enough money, I'll go buy a nice South Bend. A nice South Bend lathe and a nice South Bend milling machine. And then y'all can watch me use it and say, wow, I donated money to that. Not really. I've been running this lathe here for the majority of my life, actually. This was my ex-wife's grandfather's lathe. He was an amazing man. Enjoyed him very much while he was alive. He was a World War II veteran. He flew in B-24 Liberators, B-17 Flying Fortresses during the Second World War. He was what they called the flight engineer. He was the guy that if oil pump failed, he had to go and transfer oil from one tank to another. If a generator needed to be repolarized, he climbed out through the wing in flight to do this operation, and that was all done while Germans were shooting at him. He told me one time in a B-24 that they had one engine, dead people all over the damn plane. They were shot up really bad. This is the only time I knew this story. Dead people were shot up all over the place in his plane, and it was him and the co-pilot. The pilot was dead. Him and the co-pilot, and they were hard over on the rudders and pulling that stick back and just trying to keep that plane in. He said they clipped treetops coming in over the runway in France, and not England. This was France where he was at after England. He was there for 3 years. And he said it was an amazing and wild ride. He said, and after he got home, it was still an amazing and wild ride. Only they were in the form of nightmares. He never physically attacked or killed anybody with his bare hands, but he killed more people on the ground than he cares to know about. He died 18 years ago. 17 years ago. His wife died 18 years ago. Heck of a man. Miss him a lot. Every time I use this lathe, I have fond memories, and he didn't tell me many stories of the war, but when he did, it was usually while we were turning steel on his lathe. Good guy. Anyway, that's it. I'll show you. I got 24 of these to do. I've done 2. I'm going to time it the next time to see how long it takes, and then that'll give you an idea as to how long it's going to take me to do this. My lovely Asala just showed up. How'd you know I was in here?
I did. I hear you yakking.
You did?
Yeah, I'm not deaf. I'm blind, but I'm not deaf.
I'm deaf.
I'm not.
I think I'm blind too, because this last pass, I don't think it cut anything. You got me lunch? Well, let me turn my recorder off here and delete. And just so you all know, these are case-hardened steel pins. This is some hard-ass shit to cut through. I got some oil on there. I have to run it by hand because I don't have the right gear set to run it automatic. Yes, it's going to make some noise. I'm sure there's about 75 machines.